Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you part 5 of Charlotte's Universe. Charlotte's Universe has been designed by Deidre Uys from Look at What I Made. The link to the written pattern is in the video description. In part 5 we're going to be making this band here. And this is actually the start of a new corner. So this band we're going to be doing that 4 times. So I'll show you these rounds, and if you want to know which colors I'm using for which rounds, the link for that is also in the video description. I'm using Scheepjes stonewashed yarn in a total of 6 colors. Now I'll take you through the rounds that make up part 5. Thank you for watching. Let's get started. Row 43, new color yarn on my hook. And where we're going to start is, if you look here at on any edge, you see here this first flower, you had that stitch mark there at the top. We're going to be starting in that stitch, so the marked stitch. So remember, here's the stitch that you marked the corner with, leave that one for the moment. This flower petal, that's where we're going to start. And we're going to start with a standing front post single crochet. So I'm just going to take out the stitch marker. It's going to be a little bit in the way, so I'm just going to take it out, but I know it's this flower petal. Then a front post single crochet. So between the chain space and the flower petal, insert your hook, and then come out the other side, again between the petal and the chain space. Grab your yarn and complete this single crochet. And this was a front post single crochet. We are now going to work into the chain space here. Work 4 single crochets in this chain 5 space. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 single crochets in the chain space. We're going to work a front post double crochet around the double crochet here from round 41. So you're going to come down. So remember, so here you see this was, so it's not this stitch here, this was from the previous round, but really 2 rows down. So really this double crochet down here. I'm going to work a front post double around that. So yarn over, and then what that in essence is, you're going to make the stitch like in front of the stitches you already have, so it kind of falls over those stitches. So front post double crochet, and now come to the next chain space, and that's this chain here, and we're going to work 4 single crochets in there. And this was a chain 4 space, if you remember, because we had that single crochet there to the back. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4, I'm just going to space them out a little bit. So 4 single crochets in the chain space. We're now at the top of the next flower, and this gets a front post half double, so important. It's different from there you had a single, here we're going to do a half double. So yarn over, then again around the flower, again between the chain space and the flower on either side. Grab your yarn and complete the front post half double. And this was the entire repeat, ignoring the single crochet, but the front post single, this was your entire repeat. Going to do this 9 more times. I'll show you once more. So in the next chain space, work 4 single crochets. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then a front post double crochet around the stitch from 2 rows down. So yarn over, so really the double crochet completely here at the bottom. And then you're going to be working in front of the stitches you already have, and then it falls over them. Now come to the chain space here, this is your chain 4 space, and work 4 single crochets again. 2, and especially these ones I find I have to move them down. 3 and 4, and now you're at the top of the next flower petal. This gets a front post half double. Done the repeat now twice with you. You need to do 8 more, and then I'll see you back on the other side. Then you'll have 1 flower petal left. I'll see you back then. So I've now done the repeat 10 times, and I've finished here with this half double front post on the second last flower. You see here's 1 flower left. So if you finish the repeat 10 times, this half double, 1 flower left. Now we're going to work these last few stitches very similar to what we've already done. Now in the next chain space, this space here, work 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Come down and again work a front post double around this front post, or just a double crochet that's there. So a front post double, so from 2 rows down, and then here in the chain space again 4 single crochets in this chain 4 space. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and on your very last stitch for this row, the top flower of this flower, going to work a front post single crochet, so that's important. A front post single around the flower. So this is the same as what we started with. The first stitch was also a front post single. There we go. Now leave your yarn attached, and we're going to turn our work to continue along with these stitches on the next round. So leave the other edges we'll do later. So now turn your work. Row 44. So you now have the wrong side facing. That's important. And you'll notice that your work is really curling in on the other side. Don't worry about this. Okay, to start with a chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then come to the next half double, the front post stitch. If you look at your stitches, you'll just have to turn them a little bit towards you, because they've been, because of the curling, they're really, you can't see them very well. So turn it towards you, and if you look here, you'll see this stitch. This is the front post half double, because I'll just take out my hook. You see this little loop here. This loop is extra, and that's how you can recognize that this is your stitch, or actually this is the half double stitch, and these are all single crochets. But do take note that you should not insert like this, but actually roll it a little bit further still, and now you can see all the V's also of the single crochet stitches, and this is where you're going to insert your hook. But to know which one you need, you can see here, there's that little loop. So this is the stitch you need, but make sure to insert like so and not here, because now you're basically working through the back loop and the third loop. So that's important. Okay. So we've done the chain 7. They're going to work a single crochet in this front post half double. So I'm just going to roll my work forward that I can really see the stitch, and then a single crochet in there. I'm going to do this 10 times. So I'll do again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chain stitches, and then again rolling my work. Really roll it towards you, because it's going to really be curling away from you. Roll it towards you, and then in the top V work the single crochet. So that was 2 times. We need to do 10, so 2. I'll do 1 more and then I'll make a jump in the video. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chain stitches. Come to the top of the next flower petal, roll it towards you, See, oh, here's the third loop, but you need the V, so make sure to really roll it further and get completely into that stitch. So I've now done 3. I'm going to do 7 more, and then I'll be almost to the other side. Then I'll see you back. So I've done the repeat, 10 times, not 7 times. I wanted to say chain 7s. We've done them 10 times. And you have, you're now at the top of this second last flower petal, and you've got one gap to fill and your single crochet here. So chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, chain 7, and now come to the standing single crochet that we started with. Insert into that stitch, because we're going to make a slip stitch in there. And there's the stitch. So you see, here's the slip knot, so just to the side. So there's the slip knot, so just next to it, and then a slip stitch, and that's it. And now turn your work again to have your right side facing. Row 45, you now have the right side facing again, and in this row we're going to be working mostly into these chain spaces, but also the single crochets. We're going to start with a chain 2. So I'm just going to pull the yarn tail to the side. So chain 2, and then in the chain 7 space, so in this big gap, work a double crochet 2 together. Yarn over, take off 2 loops, yarn over, pick up your yarn, take off 2 loops, and take them all off. Now this chain 2 and the double 2 together, this entire stitch combination, this counts as a 3 double crochet cluster. So these 3 stitches. We're now going to work in the same chain space where we're currently in 4 more double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, and the last one, 4. And what you'll notice is that these stitches don't really fill your chain 7 space properly, so just smear them out a little bit, that you evenly distribute them in the chain space. So because it's going to look like you don't have enough stitches, so just smear them out a little bit, spread them evenly. We're going to start our repeat. Around this single crochet here, work a front post double. So yarn over. So this basically means into the chain 7 space, around the back, and come out the other chain 7 space. That's in essence what this means, because then you're going to be going around the single crochet from the back. So front post single, so that means from the front to the back, and again from the back to the front. Pick up your yarn and complete the front post double crochet around that stitch. In the next space, just chain 7 space, work 7 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And again, you'll have to spread these out a little bit. And this was the repeat. I'm going to do this 9 times in total. This was once. I'll just quickly do once more. So again, around the single crochet, a front post double. And then in the next chain space, 7 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going a bit faster here, 6, and the last one of this repeat, 7. There you go. Now I've done twice with you. do 7 more times, and then I'll see you back for the last stitches. When you've done the repeat 9 times, this is where you're at. You'll have the single crochet left and the chain space, and of course the last stitch. Going to continue by making a front post double around the single crochet. Now this is the same as you've done all this row. And then in the last chain 7 space, going to start by making 4 doubles, so only 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We can spread them a little bit. And then the last stitch is going to be a 3 double crochet cluster. That means yarn over, pick up a loop, and take off 2. Then we stop, yarn over, pick up a loop, and take off 2. Both of these were in the chain 7 space, and the third leg for the 3 cluster we're actually going to be making in this single crochet from round 43, and that's 2 rows down. And this is kind of hard to see exactly where it's at, and because you've also got the slip stitch in there, so I'm just going to take it here, and that's kind of next to the slip stitch, and then take off 2 loops, and now you've got 4 loops on your hook. If you're following Deidre's color placement, yarn over and pull through, because then you're going to be using the same color for the next round. But I'm actually going to be using a different color for the next round, so I'm just going to take a new color, and I'm going to use this last yarn over of the round to change colors, because then I can just follow the pattern again in the next round. So this is only I am doing this. This is for my color placement. It has nothing to do with the pattern. So new color, yarn over and pull through, and then I am just going to cut the yarn from the previous row that I was just using, and now I've got the new color to continue with in the next round, because what we're now going to be doing is turn your work and come back with the what do we have then, the wrong side facing. But if you're using Deidre's color placement, just yarn over with the color you already had on your hook and continue. Row 46. I'm going to start with the chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches. And this is the stitch where you're currently in, so that's not the stitch you're going to skip. So that's the one you're currently in. You're going to skip 1, 2 stitches. So if you look at it like this, it looks almost like you're skipping 3, but that's not true, because the first one is where you're currently in. So you're going to skip the next 2 stitches and then double crochet in the next 2. So here's where you're in, skip, skip, and then 1 double crochet and 1 more double crochet. And then the next stitch should be the front post stitch from the previous round. So if you just want to double check, just turn your work forward and you see, okay, this is the next stitch, and you see that's this front post stitch that you made in the previous round. So that's just a double check for you. That should be your next stitch. And if it's not, you've maybe skipped too many stitches here, or not enough. That's of course also possible. Now we're going to do a little repeat unit again, that we'll do 9 times. We're going to start with a back post double crochet. So yarn over, and the back post means you're going to come from the back around the stitch and then to the back again, pick up your yarn, bring it to your current position, and complete the double crochet. And this is around the front post from the previous round. So if you roll your work forward, you'll see this makes a line. So you can double check that you've got that line going there. And then a double crochet in the next 7 stitches, which are your 7 stitches that you have here in this space. Because remember, this stitch that you see here, I'll just take off my hook, that stitch there you've just worked that stitch. You've worked around the post, not on the top, because there's this band here belongs with that stitch. So that is the next stitch that you're going to be working in, which is the first of the 7 you have here in the chain space. So 7 doubles. That's 1. And be sure to take both loops. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last one here, 7. And this was the repeat, starting at the back post stitch, and these 7 doubles. Going to do this 9 times. So I've just done once. I'll just get you started on the second one. I'll show you the next front post stitch, or the back post stitch again. Just open them up. You see here, this is the front post stitch from the previous round. I'm just going to yarn over, and then from the back, around the post of that stitch, grab your yarn, bring it all the way back to your current position, and complete the double crochet. And then again 7 doubles, and the first one here is on this stitch, because it looks like you're skipping a stitch, but that's not true because you've already worked this stitch. That's in the first of 7, so these are the 7 that are in the chain space, and this is 2, and then you'll work the other ones also. Make a jump in the video again when you've done this repeat 9 times, so that'll bring you to the last set of 7, and then you'll have only 1 chain space left. So I've done the repeat 9 times. Just flatten my work here a bit, and this is the point where you're at. So you're in this last of these 7 double crochets in the chain space. You still need to work a back post double around this one front post stitch we have. So yarn over from the back around that stitch. A back post double crochet, a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So that's 1 and 2. So in the next 2, we're now going to skip 2 stitches, the next 2, and then the last stitch, which will be the cluster stitch here, going to work a double crochet. So 1, 2, skip, then come to the cluster stitch. You see I'm skipping there 1, 2 stitches and come to that 3rd and work a double crochet on here. And I'm once again going to use this last yarn over just to change colors. If you're not changing colors, do the yarn over in the color that you already have. Then I'm just again going to cut, so I'll have more yarn tails than in the pattern. So I'm just going to cut my current color, and now again turn your work. Pull all my yarn tails together. Now turn your work for the next round where you have the right side facing again. Row 47, you now have the right side of your work facing. To do a chain 3. 1, 2, 3. You're going to skip 2 stitches. There's these 2 here. I'm going to skip those and come to the next stitch, which will be actually the front post, or actually it's the back post from the other side, but now it looks like a front post. Going to work a popcorn in there. That means yarn over, because we're going to do 5 double crochets in this stitch. That's how we're going to start the popcorn. So in the front post stitch, or back post when we made it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. Pull my yarn. I'm going to open up this loop, and I just tend to pop it on my finger because then nothing happens to it. Come to the first of the 5 doubles and insert your hook. Pick up your working yarn on your hook and then pull that closed, and now you're going to pull this loop through the first stitch. and that is the popcorn made. In the next 7 stitches work a double crochet, and those are these 7 here in the middle. And that is the next stitch, because the popcorn might make it hard to see, but that's the next stitch here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this was again the repeat that you're going to do 9 times. So the next stitch should be this front post stitch. Next stitch should get a popcorn. Okay, I'll show you the popcorn again. So 5 doubles in the 1 stitch. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doubles. Open up the loop and come to the first of the 5 doubles that you worked in the 1 stitch. Insert your hook, pick up your working yarn and pull your working loop through the stitch, through that first stitch. And there we go. And again 7 doubles. 1, 2, and until you have 7. So all of these. This is the repeat, so popcorn and 7 doubles. I've just done like 1.5 with you. You need to do 9 in total, then you'll be almost to the other side. I'll see you for the last 2 stitches. I've done the repeat 9 times, and this is where you're at. You've just done those 7 doubles, and your next stitch should be the front post stitch here. We still need to work 1 popcorn in there. So 5 doubles, 2, this is 3, 4, and the last one 5. Open up the loop, come to the first stitch, and then just complete the popcorn. You now have 2 stitches here, and you have the chain 3. You're going to skip these 2 stitches, and we're going to make a double crochet in the top of the beginning chain 3 here. I'm going to yarn over, skipping these 2 stitches, come here to the top of the chain 3, and I'm just going to eyeball it where I'm going to just poke my hook in, because it's not an exact, there you go, science. And then yarn over, and I'm just again going to change colors. Again, it's not according to the pattern, so I'm just yarning over in a new color and fastening off my old color. And then the next round I'll be using a new color again. So turn your work to have the wrong side facing. Row 48, you have the wrong side facing. I'm going to start with a chain 3. 2, 3. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches, which will actually be the popcorn. I'm just going to just open them up. So it's the popcorn, that's the popcorn, and the next double crochet. Those are the 2 stitches that you're skipping. So that there is the popcorn and the next double crochet. And now we're going to start the repeat unit. So in the next stitch, so this is a 3rd stitch, work a double. You can see how you're skipping quite a few stitches there. So double crochet, chain 1, and skip a stitch. We're going to do this 3 times. So that was once, so we're skipping the stitch, come to the next. That's a double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and then again a double crochet, chain 1 and skip a stitch. It's going to be this stitch here. This is the stitch we're skipping. The next stitch should be the popcorn, and we're going to work a back post double around the popcorn. So the next stitch is the popcorn. Now I'll just show you how we're going to do that. So back post, that means from the back, start from the back, and if you pull it all open, you'll see there is the popcorn, and that's where you're going to be working. So you insert your hook from the back to the front on once before the popcorn, then go around the popcorn and out the other side. If you look at it from the top, it looks like that. From the front, it looks like that. And if you pull the popcorn open, you can see exactly those two gaps. That's where you're going to be making, oh, my hook's in the way. That's where you're going to be making the back post stitch. So the chain 1 is still there. You're going to skip this. This is the stitch that you're skipping, but it's going to be like you're going to go underneath there. So between the last stitch and the popcorn, grab your yarn, bring everything forward, and complete the double crochet. This is what it looks like from the back, and if you then roll your work forward, you'll see you've pinched the popcorn. And a chain 1 and skip the next stitch, and this here is the next stitch. There, that's the next stitch. I'm going to skip that. And everything you've just done, starting from the double crochet, this is your repeat. I'm going to do 7 more times, so 8 times in total. I'll show you the repeat again. So we're going to skip a stitch, so this is the stitch we're skipping, then come to the next stitch and work a double crochet. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and double crochet, chain 1, going to skip another stitch, and double crochet, chain 1, skipping the next stitch, that's that stitch, and the stitch after should be the popcorn, and you might have to pull that all open to see the popcorn. There's the popcorn. Then around the popcorn, grab your yarn and complete back post stitch, back post double crochet. That's what it looks like from the front. And chain 1, and again skip the next stitch, which will be that stitch, and then this will be the next one to work into. So you're going to skip this stitch, and this is then the next one to work your next repeat in. So I've just done the repeat twice with you. You need to do a few more. Let me just think. We need to do 6 more. And after you've done that, after you've worked the last back post on the popcorn, I'll see you back. I've just done the repeat 8 times in total. You're going to have the last double crochets here around this popcorn, not that one. So you've got 1 popcorn left, that's where you're stopping. Just also made a chain 1 after the double crochet. And part of the repeat is still skip a stitch. So this stitch skip is still part of the repeat. Then come to the next stitch and work a double crochet in there. So double crochet in that stitch, chain 1, and skip a stitch. So I'm going to skip this stitch, then come to the next, work a double crochet, chain 1, and skip a stitch. Double crochet in the next stitch, this one here, and at this point you have 2 stitches left and the chain 3. You're going to skip those last 2 stitches. It's the next stitch and the popcorn, that's what you're skipping, and then come to the chain 3 and work your last stitch in there. That's going to be a double crochet. So skip this stitch, skip the popcorn, come to the chain 3, kind of eyeball where you want to insert your hook. There you go. and complete the last double crochet. That's what it looks like from the front. Then turn your work for row 49. Row 49, you have the right side facing, and we're going to start with a chain 3, 2 and 3. We're going to skip the next stitch. That's this stitch here, because this is the stitch you're currently in. We're going to skip this stitch and the chain space. We're going to skip both of those, and then come to this double crochet, this one here. Going to work a back post double around that stitch. So from the back around the stitch, work a back post double, and then in the chain space a half double, and that you're going to repeat almost to the end 32 times. So this was once. So in the next stitch, which will be the post, work a back post double, and in the space work a half double. So that was twice. So you need to do 30 more. Back post double, and a half double in the space. So I've done 3 times with you. You need to do 29 more, and then I'll see you back. I've done the repeat 32 times. You'll be finishing with a half double in the second last chain space. This is your last chain space. On the next stitch, we're going to work a back post double. So just the one stitch, back post double. And then we're going to skip the chain space and the stitch here, and we're going to come to the chain 3 and work a double crochet on there. So here on the chain 3, work a double crochet. Complete the row, turn your work for the next row. Row 50, you have the wrong side facing, and we're going to start with a chain 3 again. 3. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches. Now this is the stitch we're currently in, so we're going to skip 1, 2 stitches, and then the stitch after we're going to start here with a back post double crochet. So around that stitch, work a back post double crochet and a chain 1. Skipping the next stitch, which is going to be the half double, come to the stitch after, which is the stitch is already a back post stitch from the previous round. So you're going to work a back post around the back post, and then chain 1, and continue like this, well, almost to the end. You're going to work 30 of these back post stitches every second stitch. So that means your back post stitches get a back post, and then from the other side it will look like a front post. See how you're working only on the post stitches, and the half doubles you're going to be skipping those. Chain 1, skipping the half double, so only the front post stitches. Chain 1, that's still part of the repeat. We'll repeat this until you've done 30 of these back post stitches. So I've just done the repeat 30 times. Remember the chain 1, that's still part of the repeat. Going to work 1 more back post double around the next back post double crochet. We're now going to skip the next 2 stitches. That's going to be the half double and this back post, and then you're going to have the chain 3. Then in the chain 3 we work a double crochet here in the top of the chain 3. And there. There we go. At this point you can cut your yarn. Just going to do that and fasten off. There we go. And then we turn your work, and the next round is with a new color. Row 51, you have the right side of your work facing, and we're going to start with a new color. I'm going to join this color by joining it with a slip stitch in the stitch where we just finished, so the stitch where we just fastened off. That double crochet, just join there with the slip stitch. Now what we're going to do is in the next 2 chain spaces, we're going to be working a triangle over those 2. So we're going to skip the double crochet there and then come to the chain space. Then start with a single crochet in the chain space. Just going to pull the yarn tail, so a single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet picot in the same space. That means a double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm just going to show you where to insert your hook. We're going to insert our hook as though to work into the double crochet, but we're going to complete it here from the side. We're going to work a single crochet. So that means grab my yarn again, insert your hook, so you're going to fold your work a little bit, so insert it into your single crochet stitch, make sure, into the double crochet, just into the top of the double as normal, but make sure your yarn is here to the side, because we're actually going to work it into the side of the double crochet. I'll show you again. So this is just the top of the stitch, and then from the side complete that single crochet. I'll show you when we do the second repeat, I'll show you again. Then in the next chain space work a double, chain 1 and a single. Now this was your first triangle. You're going to do 15 of these. So let's make another one over the next 2 chain spaces. So we start with a single crochet, chain 1, and now that double crochet picot. So that's a double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then insert your hook into the top of the stitch, but keep your yarn to the side, and then you're going to complete the single crochet from the side. And in the next chain space work a double, chain 1 and a single in the same space. Now you've worked 2 triangles. You need to do 13 more, because we want to have 15 of these triangles. I'll make a jump in the video and I'll see you back when you've got 15. When you've done the repeat 15 times, this is where you'll be at. Your last triangle will fall in the last chain space. You'll have 1 double crochet left and the chain 3. What we're going to do is, skipping the double crochet, work a slip stitch in the top of the chain 3. So I'm just going to insert my hook there in the top of the chain 3, grab your yarn and work that last slip stitch. At this point you can also cut your yarn and fasten off the row. There we go. And that's the end of the first part of. We've now worked rows 43 to 51 on one edge, on this edge. Here you've just worked those rows, but on the other edges, like for example on this edge, you now need to repeat the same as what we did on this one. So on this one edge, repeat on your other 3 edges also. So one, I still need to do them 2, 3 edges, and then everything will look the same as it does on this edge. And also work away the yarn tails that you have, and then you're finishing the end of this part. So I'm just going to work these rows, work them on the other 3 edges also. And when you've done the corners on all 4 sides, this is what your blanket looks like. It's kind of hard to get in front of the camera. You've got a bit of an octagon shape. And then at this point we're at the end of part 5. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again soon for part 6.